The whole thing started at exactly 6:27 a.m. I remember the time because I was still half asleep, sitting on the edge of my bed, trying to wake up for work. My phone buzzed once, then twice. I thought it was just another app alert, but when I finally looked, I saw an email from a school I had never even heard of. The subject line said, "We're sorry to see you withdraw from Hillcrest University." I blinked hard. Hillcrest University? What was that? I didn't apply there. I didn't enroll there. I didn't even know what state it was in. I opened the email slowly, with my heartbeat pounding in my ears. Inside, it said, "Your withdrawal has been processed. Final balance due, $12,980. I froze. Withdraw? Balance due? $12,980? It felt like the words were written in another language. None of it made sense. I rubbed my eyes and read it again, thinking maybe I was dreaming. But no, it was real as the sun coming through my window. The first thought that rushed through my mind was something simple and honest. I never went to this school. Because I hadn't. I didn't apply. I didn't fill out any forms. I didn't attend a single class. I didn't take any tests or buy any books. I didn't even graduate high school on time. While other kids went straight into college, I stayed back, trying to get my life together. So how could I be dropping out of a place I never stepped foot in? I scrolled down the email, hoping for answers. Instead, I saw something that made my stomach twist. It listed my information. Name, Jordan Price, social security number, ending in 44XX, address, my actual home address, previous school, my high school enrollment, status, full-time student, fall semester. My mouth went dry. Someone used my name. Someone used my social security number. Someone used my actual high school transcripts. Someone used my whole identity. They didn't just pretend to be me. They lived as me for a full semester at a school I didn't know existed. I scrolled further, and the email said, "You completed 15 credit hours before withdrawal." 15 credit hours. That meant someone went to classes. Someone got graded. Someone did assignments. Someone took tests. Someone sat in classrooms under my name. I felt my stomach twist even tighter. Who would do this? Why would they do this? How did they even get all my information? I sat on my bed, staring at the wall, trying to think. My mind raced through memories: high school, home, family, friends. Who had my social security number? Who had access to my records? Who could pretend to be me without the school noticing? The answer came slowly and painfully, because it was someone I actually knew. Someone inside the family. Someone who always seemed to have things magically work out. My older brother. He was the golden child, the smart one, the one teachers loved, the one who parents bragged about, the one who got opportunities I never did, the one mom always called the future of the family. Meanwhile, I was the kid who fell behind, the kid who worked part-time jobs, the kid who scraped by, the kid who barely finished school, and if anyone in the family needed a second chance, a scholarship, or a way into a college they didn't qualify for, it would be him. My hands trembled as I sat there holding my phone. Because now I knew something was horribly wrong. The school wasn't confused, the email wasn't a mistake, the bill wasn't sent to the wrong person. Someone had taken my future, my name, and my identity, and used it like a ticket to a life I never got to live. And now, they were leaving me with the bill. My brother Zach had always been the golden boy of our family. If you asked anyone, mom, teachers, neighbors, cousins, they all said the same thing. Zach is amazing. It felt like the whole world loved him from the moment he was born. He was the kid people bragged about, the one people pointed at and said, "That boy is going places." And honestly, sometimes it felt like I was standing in his shadow, even when we were little. Zach was the captain of the soccer team. He had posters of trophies and medals all over his room. He was the kid who never got in trouble at school. He was the kid who teachers remembered by name, even years later. He didn't just get straight A's. He made it look easy. Meanwhile, I was the opposite. Not bad, not broken, just regular. But in our house, regular didn't get you much attention. Mom always used the same phrase whenever people asked about us. Zach is going places. Dylan, well, Dylan figures things out. She said it with a half smile, like she wasn't insulting me, but it still stung every time. It made me feel like Zach was a shiny new car and I was an old bike missing a wheel. I tried not to let it bother me, but some days it felt like she wasn't even trying to hide who her favorite was. While Zach took honors classes, I worked construction. While Zach went to summer sports camps, I stayed home to mow lawns for money. While Zach planned his future, I tried to keep up with mine. He had people cheering for him at every turn. I had people patting me on the back saying, "You'll get it someday, kid." And the truth is, I didn't mind helping my family. I didn't mind working. I didn't mind taking a harder path. I didn't even mind Zach being great. But Zach didn't just take the spotlight. He took everything he wanted, no matter who got hurt. The more I thought about that email from Hillcrest University, the more things started adding up in the worst way. Zach was the kind of kid who always looked like he had everything handled. Perfect grades, perfect smile, perfect future. But behind all of that, he had a problem no one wanted to admit. He wanted things he didn't earn. He wanted shortcuts. He wanted applause. He wanted doors to open for him without doing the hard work. And the easiest way to get what he wanted was to take it from someone who didn't have the power to stop him. Someone like me. I remembered the times Mom left important documents on the counter. My social security card, my school forms, my transcripts. She never locked anything away. Anyone in the house could grab them. I remembered Zach asking me weird questions about my high school. When did you graduate again? What classes did you take junior year? Do you still have your report card from 10th grade? At the time, it seemed random, just small talk, but now it didn't feel random at all. Zach didn't prepare for greatness. He prepared something else. He prepared a fake version of me so he could become a fake version of himself. He used my identity like a spare key. He used my social security number like a password. He used my transcripts to get into a school I never even visited. He enrolled as me. He attended classes as me. He lived a college life as me. And then he dropped out as me, leaving me with a massive bill I didn't see coming. As I sat there thinking about it, a heavy truth settled in my chest. For years, Zach was the golden boy. But underneath all that gold, he was willing to steal my entire future just to shine a little brighter. After reading the email about dropping out of a college I never attended, I knew I had to call the school. My hands were shaking as I dialed the number for Hillcrest University. I didn't know what I would say. I didn't know what they would say. I just knew I needed answers, even if I wasn't ready for them. A woman answered, sounding calm and cheerful. Hello, Hillcrest University. How may I help you? I cleared my throat. Hi. I think there's been a mistake. I got an email saying I withdrew from your school, but I never even applied there. She paused, confused. May I have your name? Dylan Carter, I said. I waited while she typed. The seconds felt long. My heart thumped like a drum. Then she said, Oh, let me open your file. My file? I didn't have a file. How could I have a file at a college I didn't attend? I listened to her clicking slowly through pages on her computer. Then she began reading out loud, like she didn't think anything was wrong. Welcome, Dylan Carter, she read. Majoring in computer science, enrolled full-time. Scholarship awarded. I sat up straight. A scholarship? A scholarship for me? I had never been offered one single scholarship, not for grades, not for sports, not for anything. I barely graduated high school. I worked construction. Nobody ever handed me money for school. Wait, scholarship? I asked. Are you sure you have the right person? She continued reading. Yes, it says you received a full state scholarship worth, let me check. Yes, $18,000 for the year. $18,000. A full scholarship. Given to someone pretending to be me. My mouth felt dry. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This is wrong, I said. I never got a scholarship. I never even applied to your school. The woman paused again, and this time her voice got a little nervous. Let me pull up your student photo. Maybe we can confirm your identity. She clicked around for a few seconds. Okay, I see the picture on your file, she said. My heart pounded. I waited for her to describe it. Maybe it was some stranger. Maybe this was all a silly mix-up. Maybe this wasn't even about my family. Then she said the words that made everything inside me freeze. The photo is of a young man with brown hair, green eyes, soccer uniform. Let me see the name tag. It says Zach. My breath stopped. Zach, my brother. My golden boy younger brother. Ma'am, I said, my voice shaking. That's not me. That's my brother. She grew quiet. Your brother? Yes, I said. He used my name. He used my social security number. He used everything. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the wall like it was melting. Zach went to college, as me. He used my identity. He used my transcripts. He used my name to get into a school he couldn't get into on his own. He used my information to grab the scholarship that should have gone to someone who earned it. The woman spoke gently. Sir, I think you are a victim of identity theft. Victim. That word felt strange. I had never thought of myself that way. But now it fit. Because while I was working long days in the sun, carrying bricks and lifting heavy boards, Zach was walking around a college campus pretending to be Dylan Carter. He sat in classrooms under my identity. He turned in assignments under my name. He got help from teachers who thought he was me. He used my future like a costume. And when the semester ended, he didn't pay the bill. He didn't withdraw properly. He didn't clean up the mess. He just left the problem behind. For me to find at 6:27 a.m. I closed my eyes slowly, because now the truth was too big to ignore. My brother didn't just steal an opportunity. He stole my entire place in a school I never entered, and he left me holding the bill. By the time I drove to my parents' house that afternoon, my hands would not stop shaking. I had spent the whole morning replaying the phone call with the university, each detail stabbing me again and again. Zach used my name. Zach took a scholarship meant for someone who worked hard. Zach pretended to be me for an entire semester, and my parents, they probably knew. That was the part that hurt the most. When I walked inside, they were already sitting on the couch. They weren't watching TV. They weren't talking. They weren't even pretending to relax. They sat stiff and quiet, like people waiting for a court trial to begin. Like they already knew why I came. I stood in front of them, holding the university letter in my hand. My fingers were so tense the paper shook. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I didn't even sit down. I just held the letter out. "This came to me this morning," I said. Mom looked tired, like she had practiced her answer all day. She didn't even pretend to be surprised. She didn't ask what it was. She just sighed, long and slow, like I was the one causing trouble. "Dylan," she said, her voice soft and gentle like she was comforting a child. "He needed this opportunity." My heart dropped. My brain tried to understand. He needed it. Mom nodded like she was explaining the weather. "You weren't using school anyway. You weren't applying anywhere. You weren't going anywhere." I stared at her. My mind felt blank, cold, empty. She said it like my life didn't matter. She said it like my identity was a spare key anyone could use. She said it like losing a scholarship I didn't even know I had was no big deal. Dad leaned forward, elbows on his knees. He tried to smile, but it looked stiff, fake, like he didn't feel anything at all. "Son, you should be proud he's making something of himself," he said. "Proud?" My throat tightened. My ears rang. I felt like I was falling even though I was standing still. Proud that he stole my future? Proud that he used my name? Proud that he took money meant for someone else? Proud that he committed fraud using my social security number? Proud that the school thought I owed almost $13,000? Dad kept talking, but the words blurred. "He has real talent," he said. "He just needed a push. You were always stronger. You can handle things better." I wanted to scream. I wanted to shout, "I'm not stronger. I'm hurting." But my voice stayed inside my chest. Mom folded her arms. "Dylan, you've never been a school person. You work with your hands. You like simple jobs. Zach needed a future. He needed a chance." "So he stole mine?" I asked quietly. Mom blinked like she didn't understand why I was upset. "It's still the family," she said. "It all stays in the family." But it didn't feel like family. It felt like I was furniture, something they could use, something they could take from, something that didn't have a voice or a future of its own. Dad waved his hand. "Be reasonable," he said. "You weren't using school. He was." I felt something break inside me. A thin piece of hope, a soft piece of trust, a tiny piece of love I still had for the idea of family. "I'm supposed to be proud," I whispered. "Proud that he stole a scholarship in my name?" Neither of them answered. They didn't have an answer. They didn't feel what I felt. Because to them, Zach was the future. Zach was the star. Zach was the golden boy. And I was the leftover identity he could borrow whenever he needed to shine. I looked at them one last time and realized they weren't confused. They approved. And that hurt more than the bill, the email, or the stolen scholarship ever could. I was still standing in the living room, staring at Mom and Dad, when the front door opened. It swung wide like someone entering a stage. And then Zach walked in, loud, smiling, confident, like he had just won some huge prize. He didn't even look worried. He didn't even look confused. He acted like everything was normal, even though I felt like my whole world was crashing. He was wearing a Hillcrest University hoodie, brand new, bright blue, clean enough to look like it had never been washed. The logo stretched across the front like a giant brag. And the worst part, I knew exactly how he got it. Not with his money, not with his information, not with his scholarship. He bought it using my federal aid that was supposed to help me, the fake student he pretended to be. He tossed his backpack onto the floor and looked at me like I was interrupting his day. "What's your problem?" he asked, raising an eyebrow like he honestly couldn't guess. I held up the university bill, the one that said I owed almost $13,000. "This," I said, "this is my problem." Zach rolled his eyes. Relax, bro, he said, waving his hand like the bill was a tiny bug. You weren't going to college. My throat tightened. My chest hurt. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You stole my identity, I yelled. My voice cracked. I didn't care. But Zach didn't flinch. He didn't apologize. He didn't explain. He just shrugged. A tiny, lazy shrug, like I had asked him about borrowing a pencil. I borrowed it, he said. Big difference. Borrowed? Borrowed? Borrowing is when you take someone's pen and give it back. Borrowing is when you use someone's charger and return it. Borrowing is when you ask before you take. He didn't borrow anything. He filled out college applications under my name. He sent in my social security number. He used my old transcripts. He claimed my identity. He used my scholarship. He took my aid. He pretended to be me in every class for months. Borrowed? I repeated, feeling my hands shake. You borrowed my life? Zach rolled his eyes again. You weren't going to use it, he said. You're not school material. That sentence stung more than anything my parents said earlier. Not school material, not good enough, not worth the chance. He didn't just steal from me. He believed I didn't deserve anything in the first place. So, you borrowed my future? I asked. Zach stretched his arms like he was tired of the conversation. Look, it helped everyone, he said. I got into a good school. You didn't need it. Mom and Dad agreed. It's not that deep. Not that deep. Not that deep? He left me with a bill bigger than everything I owned. He used a scholarship I didn't even know I qualified for. He pretended to be me to get a future he never earned. He took my chance, my name, my credit, my support, my opportunities. He didn't borrow my life. He broke it open like it belonged to him. I stood there staring at him, at the hoodie, at the look on his face. The look of someone who believed everything he did was fine. Someone who believed he could take anything and walk away smiling. Someone who believed that, because he wanted something, it automatically belonged to him. And for the first time ever, I truly saw him. Not as a golden boy, not as a miracle child, not as the favorite, but as someone who thought my life didn't matter. Because to Zach, I wasn't a brother, I was a backup identity. After Zach shrugged at me like stealing my identity was no big deal, something inside me snapped. I wasn't angry in a loud way. I was angry in a cold, steady way. The kind of anger that makes you want answers, real answers, not the excuses my family liked to give. So I looked straight at Mom and said, "Show me the financial records." Mom froze. Her eyes darted to Dad. Dad looked at the floor. Zach suddenly pretended to be busy on his phone. No one moved. I repeated, "Show me the records." Mom hesitated. She held her laptop close like she was afraid I would steal from her, which felt strange because all the stealing so far had been from me. When she didn't hand it over, I reached forward and grabbed the laptop off the coffee table. She gasped like I had done something terrible, but I didn't stop. I opened the lid. The screen lit up, and the moment I clicked on the financial folder, I felt the air get heavier, because everything was right there. The first file I opened made my stomach twist. FAFSA filed under my name. I could see my social security number, my birthday, my address, my high school information, all typed perfectly, all used to apply for federal aid. I scrolled more. There it was again, housing application under my name. The dorm number, the meal plan option, the emergency contact list, all under Dylan Carter, all written by Zach. Zach didn't just pretend to be me on paper. He lived a full student life under my identity, like I wasn't a real person. I kept scrolling. Next came the loans. Loans approved under my name, $12,980. It hit me hard. These loans were in my credit history, my payback responsibility, my future ruined, loan after loan, form after form, all pretending I was attending classes I never stepped inside. I swallowed hard and kept looking. Another file showed textbook charges, big ones. Textbooks charged to my student account, $790. I imagined Zach walking into the campus bookstore, smiling, picking out everything he needed, and handing over my name at the counter like it was his own, like my identity was a free credit card. Then another charge came up. Meal plan billed, $1,200. He had eaten for months using money the school thought I owed. Every sandwich, every drink, every plate of food. I clicked on one more document. This one made my chest hurt the most. Scholarship deposited into Zach's linked bank account. My scholarship, my award. Money meant for the person named on the paperwork, me. But Zach connected his own account so he could receive the refunds and leftover amounts. It felt like someone punched me from the inside. I added up everything listed: FAFSA, fake housing, fake loans, real debt textbooks, charged meal plan, charged scholarship, stolen. The number at the bottom made my vision blur. Total fraud, over $33,000. $33,000, taken, used, spent, all under my name. Not only did Zach steal a seat in college, he stole a year of my identity. A full year where he lived as me. A year where every bill was mine. A year where every benefit was his. I sat back in the chair, breathing hard. Zach didn't just pretend to be me. He built a whole life as Dylan Carter while I worked construction and barely got by. Mom opened her mouth like she wanted to explain something, but nothing she said could fix this. I looked at all three of them, Mom, Dad, Zach, and one painful truth settled inside me. They didn't think Zach stole my life. They thought I didn't need it. When I finished reading the last file on Mom's laptop, I felt something inside me snap. All the calm I had been trying to hold on to slipped right out of my hands. My chest burned. My head felt hot. My hands couldn't stay still. I had been quiet for too long. I had been patient for too long. I had accepted too many excuses. So I stood up, and I lost it. My voice exploded before I even realized it could get that loud. "How could you do this to me?" I shouted. "How could you let him steal my life?" Mom jumped up from the couch. Dad stood too. Zach crossed his arms like he was watching a movie he had seen before. But I didn't care. I kept yelling, every word shaking with anger that had been building for years. "You let him steal my name. You let him use my future. You let him take everything." My voice cracked, but I didn't stop. Not this time. Not after seeing over $33,000 of fraud with my name on it. Zach shrugged like he didn't see the big deal. Dad tried to calm the room, but Mom did something worse than anything Zach had done. She screamed back. Her face turned red, her fists tightened, and her voice shook the whole house. "Zach deserves a future," she yelled. "He actually works hard. He has goals. He has dreams. He is trying." The words hit me so hard I felt dizzy. I stood there, staring at her like she had turned into a stranger. She wasn't defending me. She wasn't worried about the fraud. She wasn't worried about the bills or the damage. She wasn't even scared that teachers, banks, and the government thought I did all this. She was defending him, the golden boy, the miracle child, the favorite. I swallowed hard, feeling my throat dry out. My voice came out small, like the words were fragile. "So I don't deserve one?" I asked. The room went quiet, completely quiet. Mom opened her mouth, but no words came out. Her face froze. Her eyes blinked fast, but she didn't deny it. She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. She didn't say anything at all, and that silence told me the truth. A truth that hurt more than Zach's fraud, more than the fake FAFSA, more than the student loans, more than the scholarship he stole. The truth was simple and ugly. They never saw me as someone worth investing in. Not in school, not in the future, not in life. I was the kid who figured things out, the kid who worked construction, the kid who didn't matter as much as Zach, the kid whose identity didn't seem important enough to protect. Zach deserved college. Zach deserved a future. Zach deserved help. But me? I was just the extra identity they could borrow, the empty space they could fill, the name they could use when the golden boy needed a shortcut. And Mom chose her side in just one sentence. Not my side, not the honest side, not the fair side. She chose Zach. Dad looked away, like he couldn't stand to meet my eyes. Zach smirked, like he had won some kind of prize. And Mom, who was supposed to protect both her children, had chosen the one she believed was worth it. I felt the world under me shift. For the first time in my life, I truly understood where I stood in the family. I wasn't the son they cheered for. I wasn't the son they supported. I wasn't the son they believed in. I was the son they used. And now that the truth was out, there was no going back. After everything I saw on Mom's laptop, I didn't sleep. I didn't calm down. I didn't even sit down. I moved around the house like someone who finally understood the truth, and the truth hurt too much to hold still. My whole life, I thought I was the simple one, the non-school one, the one who didn't have a future in their eyes. But now I knew something different. They never believed I had a future at all. So I decided to make something they couldn't ignore, something they couldn't lie about, something they couldn't twist into a story that made Zach look like the hero. I made an evidence file. I sat at the desk and printed every piece of proof I had. The printer hummed loudly, filling the quiet house with a sound that felt strong, like a drumbeat. Each sheet of paper held another piece of the truth they tried to hide. I printed the FAFSA forms filed under my name, my social security number, my birthday, my information, all filled in, but not by me. Then I printed the loan documents, page after page showing the money I supposedly borrowed, loans I never asked for, loans I didn't even know existed until that morning. Next came the scholarship details. It hurt so much to read them. A full state scholarship, $18,000, money that could have changed my life. But Zach took it, not because he deserved it, but because he had access to my identity. After that, I printed the enrollment papers, the ones where Zach pretended to be me, the ones he signed with my name, the ones mom and dad probably watched him fill out. Then I printed Zach's student photo, his face, his smile, his soccer uniform, proof that the school believed Dylan Carter was actually him. Last, I printed the forged signature, a shaky, messy version of my name, written by someone who didn't even try to make it look real. By the time I finished printing everything, the desk was covered in papers, proof, facts, evidence, more truth than my family ever wanted to face. I scanned every paper and emailed the entire file to the scholarship board to show the money went to the wrong person, the university to show the student they accepted wasn't me, the Department of Education to report the identity theft, loans, and false aid. My hand shook a little when I hit send, but I didn't stop. I had been quiet too long. I had been ignored too long. I had been treated like a spare person too long. When everything was sent, I grabbed my bag and walked toward the door. I didn't slam it. I didn't sneak out. I walked like a person who finally understood he deserved better. Mom must have heard me leaving because she came running down the hall. Her face was red, her hair was messy, and she looked terrified. "Don't you dare destroy your brother's future," she screamed. Her voice echoed through the house like lightning. It was the loudest she had ever yelled at me, louder than any time she said I disappointed her, louder than any time she compared me to Zach. I turned around and looked right at her. "My brother's future?" I said. "What about mine?" She didn't answer. She just kept crying, reaching for me like pulling me back would undo everything. So I shouted the truth she refused to hear. "You destroyed mine when you chose him over me." The words hung in the hallway, heavy as stone. Mom stopped. Dad didn't come out of his room. Zach didn't show his face. It was the first time anyone in that house heard what I had been feeling for years. I stepped outside, closed the door behind me, and took a deep breath. For the first time in my life, I wasn't walking away because I was lost. I was walking away because I finally knew who I was, and who I would never let them turn me into again. The fallout didn't happen in one giant explosion. It came piece by piece, like a row of dominoes falling one after another. Every time a new update arrived, I felt a mix of relief, fear, and sadness. Relief because the truth was finally being seen. Fear because I didn't know what would happen next. Sadness because this was my family, people who should have protected me, not used me. The first email came from Hillcrest University. It said, "Enrollment for Dylan Carter has been revoked due to confirmed identity misuse." I stared at the message for a long time. Enrollment revoked. The classes Zach took as me were erased. His student account was frozen. He could not step on campus again. The school didn't just remove him. They removed the entire fake version of me he created. A few days later, another email arrived. This one was from the scholarship board. It said, "Scholarship canceled due to fraud." The scholarship Zach took, $18,000 worth, was gone. Not just paused, gone, erased, taken back. It didn't go to him. It didn't return to me. It was simply removed because he cheated to get it. The money was gone, just like the trust they once had in our family story. Then came the third message, from the loan office. "All student loans have been transferred to the individual who completed the enrollment forms." That individual was Zach, not me, not the person who didn't even step onto campus, not the person who never applied. The loans, more than $12,900, were now his responsibility, not mine. My chest loosened, my throat unclenched. My credit was finally being cleared of something I never deserved in the first place. Another message soon followed. "Your credit freeze has been lifted. Your file is restored." That line made me breathe in deeply. For months, my credit looked damaged. It made me feel broken. It made me feel powerless. But now, everything was open and clean again. The last notice came from the Department of Education. "We are opening an identity fraud investigation." That sentence hit hard. Not because I felt guilty, but because I knew exactly who they would look at. Zach, the golden boy, the miracle child, the one who stole my identity to build a fake future. I didn't celebrate. I didn't smile. I didn't feel proud. I just sat on my bed and stared at the wall, wondering how things had fallen this far. Then my phone buzzed. It was Zach. His text said, "You're petty. You ruined my career." Petty. He stole my name. He stole my social security number. He stole a scholarship meant for someone who earned it. He stole money, classes, meals, books, housing, everything under my identity. And now I was petty? I typed slowly, making sure every word was true. No, you ruined it when you tried to live it as me. I hit send, then put my phone face down. For the first time in months, I felt calm, not happy, not excited, just calm. Because this time, the consequences didn't land on me. They landed on the person who caused them. The university didn't blame me. The government didn't blame me. The scholarship board didn't blame me. The loan company didn't blame me. They blamed the person who stole my identity. And now Zach finally had to face the truth. Not the version Mom always protected, not the perfect boy image he built, not the future he tried to steal from me. He had to face his future, one he created, one he damaged, one he could no longer hide behind my name. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't carrying someone else's mistakes. They were finally carrying their own. After everything fell apart, the college fraud, the loan mess, the scholarship canceling, the investigation, I made a choice. A choice I should have made a long time ago. A choice I didn't know I was strong enough to make. I moved out, not in a rush, not yelling, not slamming doors, just quietly, calmly, finally. I packed my clothes, my tools, my old notebooks, and the few things that actually belonged to me. I didn't tell my parents or Zach where I was going. I just left a note on my empty bedroom floor that said, "I need a life that belongs to me." My new apartment was small. The walls were plain. The carpet was old, but it felt safe, peaceful, mine. For the first time in years, I could breathe without waiting for someone else to drag me into their problems. A few nights after moving in, I sat at my new kitchen table, just a simple folding table with one chair, and thought about my future. For so long, I believed I didn't have one. I believed school wasn't for me. I believed I wasn't the smart son. I believed I wasn't good enough, but those beliefs didn't belong to me. They belonged to the people who didn't believe in me. So I opened my laptop and typed something that felt both scary and exciting. Night school enrollment form. This time I used my own name, my real identity, my true information. No borrowing, no stealing, no hiding behind someone else's success. I paid for the first class with my own money. Money I earned with hard work. Money that felt honest. Money that felt clean. Money that didn't carry Zach's shadow. Every night after work, I sat in a classroom with other adults who were also trying to fix their futures. We weren't perfect, we weren't golden, but we were trying, and that mattered. Last month, something happened that brought tears to my eyes in a good way. Something I didn't even think was possible for someone like me. I received a small scholarship, not a stolen one, not a fake one, not one taken with someone else's identity. It came in an envelope with my real name on it, Dylan Carter. It said I earned it because of my hard work, good attendance, and strong effort. Me. The kid who Mom said figures things out. The kid who Zach said wasn't going to college anyway. I sat on my bed holding the letter, feeling something warm spread through my chest. Pride. Real pride. Not borrowed, not stolen, not taken from someone else. Then, a week later, Zach texted me again. His message said, "Do you hate me?" I stared at the screen for a long time. Hate? No. Hate takes too much energy. Hate keeps you tied to someone who hurt you. I typed back, "No, I just love myself enough to protect what's mine." I hit send. For the first time in my entire life, I felt like the words were true. I wasn't protecting Zach. I wasn't protecting Mom's excuses. I wasn't protecting the version of me they created, the one who didn't dream, didn't study, didn't grow. I was protecting me, the real me, the one they never believed in. And as I stood outside my new place later that night, looking up at the sky, I realized something huge. I wasn't the Carter brother who got scraps. I wasn't the backup brother. I wasn't the identity Zach could borrow. I wasn't the kid Mom forgot to believe in. I was the Carter brother who finally took back his life. And this time, no one could steal it from me again.